Hello and welcome back to this course of videos on Node.js. In this video we'll be covering three topics. First of all, we'll be introducing the Express framework in Node. Secondly, we'll be looking at NPM, which is short for Node Package Manager. And thirdly, we'll be looking at something called the package.json, which works really alongside Node Package Manager. So what you're seeing in front of you is an extremely simple Node app that we built in previous videos. If we just quickly look at the folder structure, here's my server.js file, which creates my Node server that handles my routing. Then we have a public folder with two HTML files, one JavaScript file, and one CSS file, which are in those folders. You can ignore the Git folder, just pretend that isn't there. That's to do with the GitHub repository. So let's look at our server.js file. Now, as we said, after creating our Node server, this handles routing. So we do a switch statement, and based on the URL that is passed, that is requested by the user, we have these different cases which respond in different ways. But each one, we write the content type header, the HTTP header, and we create a read stream, and then we run this function here, which basically the read stream listens for the data event, and then it then writes a chunk to the write stream, which is the response object, and then we have the onEnd event for the read stream, which then ends the response to the browser. Now this can get quite complicated as we add more and more routes to our application, more and more choices for the user. This is going to get very complex, and it's going to be a lot of code. And this is quite a long-winded way to really create this read stream, and then working with read and write streams. We're working at a very granular, low level. And what Express really does is really pulls away from this granular level and works at a more abstract level, which is going to simplify and streamline our code for us and really simplify things. This is really what the Express framework does for you. Now, in order to get the Express framework, we want to download it from something called NPM, which is Node Package Manager. So the first thing we need to do is we want to initialize Node Package Manager. Now, Node Package Manager, I'm just going to Control C to stop my server running here. And Node Package Manager basically is, imagine a big market of fantastic modules and great Node functionality that lives on the cloud and is free to download and use. That is really what Node Package Manager is. And it is already installed when you install Node. And just to prove this, so in previous videos, we proved Node was installed by writing the command node-b, which returns the version of Node that is installed on your local machine. We can see the version of NPM that is installed by saying npm-v, and I can see that I have 3.86 version of NPM installed. So this means that I can run commands in NPM to download all of these wonderful modules available to us for free on the cloud. But what I want to do first of all is initialize NPM. Now, when I initialize NPM, what I'm actually going to do is create the package.json file in this folder. Now, you'll see later the benefits of creating the package.json file, but for now, just take my word that it's very, very useful. So in order to create my package.json file, I am going to write the command npm init, which stands for initialize. So I am initializing basically my project. I'm going to be relying on NPM. So if I click enter here for npm init, it's going to prompt me with a number of questions. What do I want to call? I want to call my project. My Node app is fine because that's the folder that I'm in. That version is fine. Description I don't want to add. Entry point is server.js. Yes, it is. Test command, not worried about. Git repository, it recognizes actually my Git repository, which is very smart, which I'm using to share my code. and it provides that for me. That's great. I have no keywords right now. The author's me, but I'll leave it blank. License blank. Is this okay? Yes. Now I hit my return, and you'll see it will create my package.json file here. Now we can actually open up our package.json file, and we can see that it's just all of the prompts that I was given. It's documented them. And if anyone else wanted to know information about my project, they could open up my package.json file and see all the information about my wonderful project that I've built here. It's not much to see right now, but in the future it could be. So now we've initialized our NPM or node project. I'm going to Control C out of here. And the next thing I want to do is I want to use NPM to download Express. I want my Express module added to my project here on my computer. I want to download it to my local computer. So I'm going to say npm install. Install is the command that we're asking from npm, and I want to install Express. So this is going to download Express from npm to my computer. Now I'm going to add -- save here. Now what this is going to do is it's going to add, it's going to register in my package.json that I have downloaded Express and I'm using Express in my project. So if I click enter here now, so it's going to do two things. First of all, you're going to see a node modules file being created here. It's just been created there. Now, what it's also going to do is add an entry to package.json. So, first of all, let's look at package.json. We can see now it's added this dependencies key value pair here. So the value of the key value pair for dependencies is an object. Right now I only have one key value pair within my object, which is Express and the version it's installed. So it's registered that I have installed Express and added Express to my project. Now if we look in this node modules folder that has just been created, we can see it's actually installed a lot more than just Express. Here's my Express module that it has installed. So we may ask, why has it installed all these other modules as well? We only asked for Express. I go into Express here, and Express has its own package.json. And I open up the package.json for Express, and I can see itself, it has dependencies, and it has a lot of dependencies. So this is why it installed all these other modules, not just Express, because Express itself has all of these different dependencies. All of these modules Express relies on to do its job. Now, it's kind of like one of these Russian doll scenarios. If I actually look at something like one of the dependencies of Express is this serve static module. Now, if I go back and I look at serve static here, and serve static itself has a package.json. I open this, and serve static has its own dependencies. If I can just find them, so serve static has its own dependencies: encode URL, escape HTML. So this is what I'm saying, is it's like this kind of Russian doll scenario where Express, which was really the one that we asked for, has a bunch of all these dependencies, and some of these dependencies, like serve static, has its own dependencies. So this is why npm installed all of these dependencies into the node module folder for me. And as we said before, package.json, my, if you like, parent packet.json just holds the reference to the reference to Express within the dependencies. Now, what does this package.json? Sorry, let me go back here. What benefit is this package.json? So great, it's registered that Express is my dependency. So if somebody else looks at my code, they can see that they need to download Express from npm. So there's more to it than that. So I'm just going to close down my package.json here. So let's say I'm going to actually delete the node modules folder. Now, if I was going to publish my application to GitHub, I wouldn't upload my node modules folder, this very, very big, bulky folder with all these modules included. I wouldn't upload that. I would just upload my package.json folder. So if someone, let's say for example, I had just downloaded this project from GitHub. So all I have is that I have my public folder like we showed before, I have my server.js, but I have my package.json here. Now, so let's pretend that I've just downloaded that from GitHub from scratch. I can actually say npm install. Now what npm install is going to do, this command, is going to look in the package.json and say what dependencies are listed in here, and the dependency is express. And what you'll watch now is when we run this npm install, it's going to recreate that node modules folder because it knows in the package.json that express is a dependency. So I'm going to run this and you'll see in a second it will recreate that node modules folder for us. So this is great because it means that anyone who wants to download my project from GitHub, they just got to download the package.json and then run npm, the npm install. So this is a great benefit of npm. So we've now downloaded the express module to our Node app, and we've downloaded it using npm, and we've created our package.json using our npm init, which is going to track all of our dependencies, and as our app adapts, our package.json is going to keep a record of any changes and any dependencies for anyone else who uses it. So in the next video, we're going to actually look at what Express is capable of.